Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Beth Oliver, the Director of Marketing with Offshore Sailing School. And this is Doris Colgate, who probably needs no introduction, our President and CEO. She's also the founder of the National Women's Sailing Association and the Women's Sailing Foundation. If you go to offshoresailing.com and look under About Us, a tab at the top, there is a page, and we could have had a whole chapter dedicated to everything that Doris Colgate has done in her life, and in particular done for sailors. So a couple things. It is the Doris and Beth show here, so we don't have any assistants behind the curtain. So we'll hope for the best through the whole next 30 minutes. And also, if you have any questions, just so that we get the information out, I'll probably save them, put them in the Q&A box, and then I'll definitely, I'm watching the time, and I will get to those and we'll answer as many as we can. You can also always reach me directly at bolliver@offshoresailing.com, or Doris is Doris at offshoresailing.com. She gets a first name, but I guess we had a Beth here one time in the past, so I get to be an initial. So I have been here for 7 years, and I was just saying the picture behind me, actually my husband took at the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race, the first time that it stopped in Fort Lauderdale. And who knew that many years later, I would become the Director of Marketing at Offshore Sailing School and still be in touch with some of the same characters that I met at that Whitbread race, namely Gary Jobson. So Offshore Sailing School is a national sponsor of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and National Leukemia Cup regattas across the country. If you haven't participated in one of those, they're great fun and for a great cause, trying to find the cures for blood cancer. So without further ado, Doris's backdrop there, the picture, just to let you know, is of our Captiva Island location at South Seas Island Resort, which is a fabulous private resort. Those are our Jeanneau 439s in the background. We also have a Leopard 40 down here, and we have a Catalina Morgan in St. Petersburg. And then very fortunately for decades, we've been the official sailing school of the Moorings. And so we charter our 40 to 50 foot large cruising yachts and catamarans and power catamarans from the moorings down in the British Virgin Islands from their base in Road Town and Tortola. So thank you all for joining us. Doris, let's get started. So what attracted you personally to sailing, and when and where was that?
So I never got on a sailboat when I was a kid. We always stayed away from the water, sort of a family thing. I was 27 when I took a job at Yachting Magazine in Manhattan, and I met all these people who were incredibly happy. I'd come from an ad agency, and people happy on a Monday morning didn't exist at the ad agency. And so I figured it out. It's because they sailed, and they had a fabulous time sailing on their weekends. So I said, where can I learn to sail? And they said, you got to go to Steve Colgate's sailing school. And that's how I got involved. I went to Steve Colgate's sailing school way back when, and that's history is there, folks, 56 years later.
Well, and as you say, you married Steve Colgate and you married the school.
I did.
And how many years actually have you and Steve been married now?
We are married. We're going to be 51 years in December.
Bravo. Bravo. And they're together all the time, folks. So that is a real accomplishment.
Yeah, we're joined at the hip.
So when you first started working with Steve those few years ago, did you ever dream that you would build Offshore Sailing School to what it is today and have over 150,000 adults and families and kids as graduates?
Well, the number 150,000 probably didn't exist in my mind in those days. I'm a super achiever, so anything I get involved in, I want to make it absolutely perfect. And Steve is very particular about the quality of the instruction that we do and the instructors. So that all fell together. And we just wanted to strive to have the very best sailing education opportunity for anybody that would come to us. But on the other hand, we were having an awful lot of fun because this is a business where you can get out and go sailing. So I guess we didn't think about how many people we would have in those days. And it's really hard to know exactly how many we had because there were no computers when we started. So record keeping was an interesting task, but here we are, 150,000 and climbing, and it's really a wonderful, wonderful occupation to be in.
I will add this. So Steve and Doris are actually working on their memoirs, hopefully to be published in 2021. And that whole discovery and rediscovery process has been quite fascinating. And our conference room right now, the table, you can't see the table because they have so many pieces of memorabilia. And when she talks about how there weren't computers then, I can relate a bit because obviously the younger set now, they have so many mobile devices that we didn't even have when I was their age. But the even to print, a brochure. I mean, Doris was setting the type and laying things out, was licking envelopes, putting stamps on things. I mean, my, how things have changed.
We had a Gestetner machine. It used to make me a little high,
Oh gosh.
the
All
stuffing.
right. Well, so after 50 years, you and Steve personally have attended the U.S. Sailboat Show in Annapolis, and unfortunately, it wasn't able to
Yeah,
occur this year. It's postponed to 2021. So we'll see you all in October next year, folks.
yeah.
But that's always a great get together. What did you miss about not being able to be in Annapolis this year?
Well, we've done all but one since they started the Annapolis show, and I think the biggest thing I miss is seeing our graduates as they come to the booth and tell us how much they've been doing, and it's so gratifying. But the other thing is just getting together with our coworkers and everyone else in the industry. And it's sad when we can't be together, have some laughs, have dinner together, talk about the good, the bad. It's all good though, really. But it's that's what we miss the
Yeah.
most.
Yes. Well, and Moorings and Sunsail always had a lively get together, so we missed that too. So, Offshore Sailing School was founded in 1964. In fact, it existed even before U.S. Sailing certification, which we are aligned with U.S. Sailing for our certification program, which Steve Colgate, helped create the curriculum and the certification. So, what sets Offshore Sailing School apart from other sailing schools? And obviously, we all hear about the American Sailing Association because there's I don't know, 300 plus schools that do ASA certification. And that's absolutely great. We love people with ASA certification and we welcome them into our school. But what do you think sets apart Offshore Sailing School?
Well, let me just clarify that when offshore sailing school started, there were no certifications. That didn't happen until way, way, way later. But the thing that really sets us apart is the way Steve set up the courses. There's three components: is visual, auditory, and tactile. Tactile, some people call it kinesthetic. For the visual, we send a textbook in advance that you need to study. And then for the auditory, you start out in a classroom session. In the Learn to Sail course, you're actually in a classroom. The building's behind us in this picture to the left. So there is a place where we have our classrooms. On a liveaboard cruising course, the classroom's in the morning before you set out. And then there's the kinesthetic or the tactile, and that is, using the good old phrase, just do it. And the instructor has a place in the Colgate 26 that we teach on. The instructor has what we call the office. It's in the back of the boat. So it has controls so that if something goes wrong, he can quickly handle it, just like in driver's ed. But you are actually doing everything. The instructor isn't showing you, he's talking it through you so that you are accomplishing what you're doing. And I think that really, in many ways, sets us apart. But the other thing is the caliber of our instructors. We're pretty tough on who we hire. And they have to be U.S. Sailing certified. If they come to us before they are, they've got to get it pretty quickly. But they go through quite a vetting process. And they have to have the certification at the level that they're teaching, and there are various levels. Another ingredient is the boats that you learn on. I talked about the Colgate 26. When we started out, when I learned on a Soling, which wasn't terribly comfortable, but very fast and very exciting. And that it's an Olympic class boat. At one point, Steve went around trying to find a boat that was a little bit safer because the Soling could fill up with water and sink. But he couldn't, so we bit the bullet. He put all the parameters together, gave it to a marine architect, and created the Colgate 26, which is a purpose-built boat. It has a big cockpit, it has ergonomic seating, it will not sink. It's got all kinds of features so that when you are adjusting sails, you're really using adjustment that you're going to find on larger boats. So it makes it very easy to do the transgression is that the word I want to use? Transition.
Transition.
to the next boat. And then when you get into the cruising courses, I think some schools will start you on very small boats and then maybe a mid-size, like a 30-footer or so on a cruising course. We really believe that you need to go from the 26-foot boat to a 40-plus size cruising boat because we want you to get the certification to be able to charter with the Moorings and Sunsail, their partner. And it's really important for you to get the feeling of being on a large boat. But one last ingredient is whether you learn to handle a cruising boat that is a monohull or a catamaran. There's a lot of requests for catamarans these days, but I maintain that to really learn how to handle a large cruising boat, you should learn on the monohull. You really can't feel the wind as much on a catamaran, but whichever you choose, and I know some people are going to choose the catamaran because it's got a lot more room on it and it doesn't heel. It won't, get up on its ear when there's a lot of wind. And that's more comfortable for some people who aren't terribly convinced that this is what they want to do. So whichever you choose, you're going to have a great experience and you will get your bareboat cruising certification, which then allows you to start chartering with charter companies. And of course, we want you to go to the Moorings, who's going to give you up to a 15% discount. So remember, when you come to us, you're actually coming to the official sailing school for the Moorings.
And actually, just to add there, you do have, as an offshore sailing school graduate, that exclusive benefit of up to 15% off your first charter with the Moorings. So we have a lot of students, especially if they're coming from, we have a lot from South America, for example, that want to go to the Caribbean and learn, but they'll book their charter the very next week. So they come for 2 or 3 weeks and they take their week-long sailing course with us. They get their 3 certifications: basic keelboat, basic cruising, bareboat cruising. And if they learn on a catamaran, they also get a catamaran endorsement, but they're ready to charter right away. So we had a group of 4 women from Canada actually a year or 2 ago, and they did that and had 15 family members come down, and the women were all excited because up until that point, pretty much their husbands were at the helm when they were sailing at home. And they wanted to get more comfortable handling the boats themselves. And so those women, they skippered their families around for the whole week. And what's wonderful about chartering down in the British Virgin Islands, because I actually took our catamaran course down there, is it's line of sight sailing. So you can pretty much say, I want to go over there, and follow channel markers and away you go. And the weather's spectacular and everybody is so friendly and so nice. So we're very excited to get back down there.
So let me just put one little thing is, how do you go from no knowledge to being able to start chartering very quickly? And that's through the Fast Track to Cruising course that we developed. Oh gosh, I can't even remember the year now, but it will be in the book. But you actually are taking the Learn to Sail course on the Colgate 26 the first 2 days, and then you're transitioning to the cruising boat. It's a very intense course. There's no kidding around about the course, but you get 3 certifications in that period of 8 days that you're in the course. So if you don't have the time, you really can quickly get that experience, but you don't want to go off and charter in a difficult area right away. Best thing to do is to start doing it in a place like the British Virgin Islands, which it's forgiving. It's a good place to go.
And that's another way that people will take their courses with us, is they may come down for the quick quicker convenience maybe of coming to one of our Florida sites and do the Learn to Sail course, which we do in a 2-day every weekend of the year or in 5 half days. Then they'll take their live aboard cruising course down in the British Virgin Islands, and that's almost their practice for chartering on their own after that course. So you had mentioned a few things that set Offshore Sailing School apart, and I could not be more proud of my colleagues, the instructors. They're truly amazing, and the evaluations that we get back and the patience and the professionalism, and people are amazed how much they learn in that week. So what do you think, Doris, makes for a good instructor?
Well, of course, they have to be highly experienced. And so that's one of the first things we look at. But more than that, they have to be really good teachers. You can be a great sailor, but not be able to convey any information to people in a way that makes a person feel comfortable. They have to have great people skills. That's so important. When you have several people learning together on a boat, even when you're in the same family, people learn at different levels. And an instructor needs to be able to work with each one at the level that they are at and bring them up to a crew that's working well together. And that's difficult, but I think it's the patience and also the humility. It's best if you have people teaching you that aren't bragging about what they do. Our instructors have done an awful lot, and it all comes through. And we see that on the evaluations. And of course, they have captain's licenses because they have to be licensed. When you're on a boat with a motor, you've got to have a license, and that allows you to be called captain, but we don't call them captains. They are coaches and instructors, and they're there to make you incredibly comfortable in your learning experience. And I think that I'm super proud of everyone who teaches for us. They're just great, all the guys and gals.
And I think one thing I personally realized, because I did take our 3-day Learn to Sail course when I first joined the company, and then I took the Catamaran Live Aboard cruising course in the British Virgin Islands. But we teach a maximum of 4 students unless you're a family, same party of 5. But that's it, a max of 5 if you're a family. But you're potentially meeting people that you haven't met before. And everybody has a different learning style. And some people have a little experience and some people have no experience. And, our instructors have to moderate all of that and make sure that everybody's getting the education that they need, because we are not going to rubber stamp a pass. People that come expect to be well educated and be competent and confident at the end of their course with us, that they can handle the boat themselves. And that's absolutely what we want. So our instructors take the time to make sure that every single person in that course gets that education, that level of experience, and develops their skills so they can confidently and safely handle the boat for the rest of their lives. So speaking of long-term things, we, through you and Steve in particular, have developed some really long-lasting relationships in the marine, sailing, boating, resort, and hospitality industries. So can you talk a little bit about those relationships and how they work and why they work so well with us?
Yeah, well, being in this type of business, relationships are what it's all about. In 1988, after we've gone through a series of cruising boats of our own in the company, I called up the then VP of marketing at the Moorings, Simon Scott, and I said, what would you think about us teaching on Moorings boats? And the answer was an immediate yes. And we became really fast friends with Charlie and Ginny Carey, who founded the Moorings and led it for many, many years. Sadly, they both passed away. But that relationship has been going on for all those years. And it's been really gratifying to work so closely with a company like the Moorings. We've been involved with U.S. sailing since, it's eons. It's, I don't know how many years. Steve was on many committees. He's actually, they asked him to set up the certification program. And both of us have served as heads of the Commercial Sailing School Committee. And then there's Sail America, which is the industry organization that promotes sailing for all of us. And we were in the beginning of that as well. And they ran a lot of boat shows and are still doing that. So there's just so many organizations. There's the National Women's Sailing Association, which I started in 1990. And that's going strong, and I'm still in touch. They're on their own now, but I'm still very much in touch with them. And then all of our resort partners, because our business plan, what we do, is to work with resorts and companies like the Moorings. So we provide the whole vacation learning experience. That's the way we teach people.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes left, so we're going to just talk about a couple other things, and I definitely am going to take the time. We've got 6 different questions and chat, so I see them. Thank you very much. I see you, phrase of the day, and we will answer those, so please stay tuned. One of the things you talk about, Doris, is the thrill of personally having seen so much of the world under sail. So you and Steve really started the whole concept of flotillas. So basically it's a caravan of sailboats that go from one place to another. Can you talk a little bit about what we now call the Colgate Sailing Adventures, our hosted flotilla trips?
Yeah, we used to do them under something called the Sail Away Club and then the Offshore Cruising Club. In 1972, we did our first flotilla cruise. We did it with the Moorings. The whole thing cost $395 per person, included air from New York. Can you
For a
believe
week,
that?
people, a week.
We weren't making any money. We were just having fun. And that started what is now up to, we're putting the timeline together, 208 cruises. And Steve and I did lead 100 of them before we passed it on to instructors and to Heather and Nate Atwater, who run them today. And we have 6 coming up. We do at least 4 a year. We've got 6 coming up in 2021. Beth can rattle them off for you. But
Okay.
So go for it.
All right. So just a shout out actually to Nate and Heather if they're on the call. We love them. Nate actually ran our New York office back in the day, and then he got a corporate job. And then Heather was part of a sail loft her family owned and repaired our sails. So Nate and Heather, similar to Steve and Doris, met through offshore sailing school basically. And Nate decided that getting back to sailing was his thing, and Heather was all in and has always sailed all their life. They just bought a new boat, as a matter of fact. But they host these for us. And we actually, I think it was a couple years ago, we were in Spain and we had a whole crew of people that had not met each other before. And they were having such a good time with Nate and Heather and the rest of the people on it. They all called us and wanted to go to St. Martin together the next year or something. So they are really great at forging new lifetime friendships through these Colgate Sailing Adventures. But we are going next February actually to Belize. Then we'll be sailing in the Exumas in the Bahamas, and then the Greek islands. That's a return for us. And then the Seychelles, that's a new destination for us, but the Moorings has been there for
Actually, we did it before. We've done that one before.
And then Tahiti and the British Virgin Islands, because everyone's anxious to get back there anyway. So we already have people signed up. In fact, we have one person doing all 6. So if you want to set aside some of your vacation time for 2021 and have a great time, most of these have 3 to 5 boats and they're, a week to 10 days. So definitely give us a call for that. And then you and Steve have gotten a lot of industry recognition and awards. What stands out to you? Which one?
Well, the Industry Award for Leadership that Sail Magazine does every year. It's a biggie, and it was really fantastic. They gave it to Steve and me in 1996, and it was presented at I think it was the Atlantic City Strictly Sail show in Atlantic City. And that weekend, I was conducting one of our Take the Helm seminars through the National Women's Sailing Association. And we had 600 people attending those seminars that we were doing. And they were bringing in lots of women to talk to other women and their spouses about what it's like to just sell everything, go off, just start cruising with your family or even in some cases on their own. So it was a very special honor, super honor.
Okay, well, we have 5 minutes left, so I'll ask the last question, and then I'll make a comment and go to the questions in the chats. So, why is the sailing lifestyle and engaging so many people in the sport and leisure activity of sailing so important to your legacy with Steve?
Because it changes lives. It makes life really, really special to become a sailor and to be able to take advantage of sailing opportunities. We hear this from our graduates all the time. They call it amazing. That changing lives comes out a lot. It certainly changed mine. Here I am today. I've lived an incredible life because of sailing. And that's why I think it's something that everybody should try at least once.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thank you, Doris. And I will tell you that if you like this kind of conversation and some of these recollections, Steve and Doris, when things started and travel slowed down this year, they started something called hashtag Dockside Chats with Steve. And so from their home dock in South Fort Myers, they we're up to episode 63 will be issuing next week. So we issued 62. So we do them on what I call hashtag Windy Wednesday. And you can tune in to our Facebook page, or they're also on our YouTube channel. So those stories and vignettes that they're recalling are quite humorous. Some are serious, but they're really, really special entertainment. So definitely check those out. So I'm going to go to some Q&A. So we already talked about the ideal time to sail, which we like the spring in particular in Florida. Year round in the British Virgin Islands is great. Let's see, does successful completion of the sailing school provide the acceptable credentials for bareboating with most charter companies? If so, in both the US, Caribbean, as well as other countries, mid-ocean? Thank you. Thanks for the question, Bruce. Go ahead, Doris. So yes, your successful completion of our course.
Yes, you get bareboat cruising certification from US Sailing in our case. You have to take quite a test. There are 3 tests by the time you get to that one. So yes, it does certify you.
Okay. And then also, as far as Mediterranean countries, they require something called the International Proficiency.
So the International Proficiency Certificate, many of the countries are requiring that now. And in order to get that, you have to show that you have bareboat cruising certification, and US Sailing, for a small fee, I don't know if it's $25, $35, will issue that IPC for you if you have that, whether power boating or sailing.
So when you take our courses, you get a logbook at the end of the course and a certificate of completion, but then we send you literally stickers that go in your logbook, basically like a passport. And when you apply through US Sailing, you can do it ussailing.org on their website and look for the International Proficiency Certificate. It's really just an application form. There's no testing, but you do need to give them your sticker numbers. They all have a number on them to verify that you have through bareboat cruising certification. That's what you must have. And if you're from another country, Canada has its own certification system, and Europe, it would be called the International Certificate of Competence, the ICC. So hopefully that answers that. Let's see. John wants to know, well, you're welcome. Thank you for hosting this webinar. Do you have any plans to return to the Northeast? My wife and I enjoyed many classes with Offshore at Liberty Landing, and we're sad to see it leave. Yeah. We were sad to leave too, John.
We were sad to leave, but it was the right thing to do. We want to be in year-round locations. It's very difficult to conduct a business that you have to open and close, and then what do you do during those winter months, and what do you do with the boats? So it was a hard decision because we started in New York. Steve, that's where he started, and that's where I learned. But we are not.
Okay, so we have just a few. I apologize, we might go a minute or two over, a couple more. How strenuous is the course? Is it fairly easy for a 63-year-old to do? Yes, it's very
easy.
Yes. We have 80-year-old, 85-year-olds. You know, a lot of people have to take time off for life reasons, but they always love sailing and they want to get back into it. So, And it, you know, and it's a bucket list too for some people, but no, it's not too strenuous. You do need to have mobility. I will say that, because you
Yes.
need to safely get on and
Yeah.
off a boat, but please, any age, all age are welcome. And we do take children age 7 and above typically. And we'll try and obviously put families together without other people. Let's see. So now we'll go to the chat real quick, and there's several chats in here. All right. So I got to start at the top here. Um, all right. What if we already know how to sail? Can we skip the basic course and perhaps take 104 to start? Yes, you may.
Yes. Yes, you can. You have to challenge the test, but yes, you can.
Yes, we refer to that as testing out. So we hope that you would maybe take the Boat US Foundation online Learn to Sail course, which is only $39 that we produced with them. You'll find a link on our website, but that's just a refresher if you've been away from sailing for a while, but you will have to actually take either the basic keelboat US sailing test online, or you'll take the written test when you come to do your cruising course. But yes, you can join us in progress, so to speak. NWSA says they love you, Doris. Thank you, Debbie.
I love them.
How about a crude charter with a captain who does the work? I just sold my Alarian 28 and have taken a Colgate course a long time ago. I really do not want to work too much. Well, there's a person after a lot of people's hearts. So what would you say to that?
You don't have to work hard. Are you talking about doing a flotilla? Is that what you?
Well, how about a crude charter with a captain who
Crude
does
charter?
we do that
That's a
through the
very,
Moorings.
I'll tell you what, that's something Steve and I would love to do. So we don't have to work. I mean, we're getting up there. So yeah, crude charters are great.
Yes, the Moorings are more than happy to talk to you about crude charters. And I will say, we did research before, but we also do these written evaluations. And at 75% of the people that take a course with us intend to charter. So, I mean, people are definitely doing it because they want a vacation that way. Okay, from Ken, are your flotillas crew only, or can we charter our own boat like the Moorings and Sunsail flotillas?
Well, you're not crew only, because there's not an instructor on every boat. You're going to be assigned to a boat based on your experience. And there will be 2 people that will be designated to be, quote, in charge. And one would be a designated skipper and the other the designated navigator, but they're the go-to people if something should occur, to go to Heather and Nate, who are going to be on the lead boat. You have to know how to sail. That's important. You can bring somebody who has marginal experience, but they need to know what being on board is like. Because it's not a hotel room, let's face it. So yeah, you're going to be doing the sailing. We sail together. All the boats sail together within sight of each other, so to speak, and rendezvous every night. But you're doing the sailing on board.
Okay, so a couple more questions. We're going to try and cut this off at 1:05 so that people can go on about their day. But question, if you have a U.S. Coast Guard OUPV license, is that sufficient to be able to charter? I don't know, maybe the Moorings wants to
Well,
try.
I can tell you it's based on skill. And the Moorings, and Ian can tell you more, but they have a resume that you need to fill out. And so, and there are certain parts of the world now where you do have to fill out a resume for the country as well. So, you know, it's all skill based. Yeah, just having a certification doesn't mean anything unless you have the skill behind it.
So another question, can ASA certified individuals take the coastal passage making or ocean passage making courses from you?
Well,
I think what we request now is that people take at least the live aboard cruising course, and you'll still fill out a sailing resume, but we have 100% satisfaction guarantee, and we know that all 6 of our locations and all of our instructors teach the exact same curriculum on the same style boats. So we want to be sure that everybody getting into our advanced courses is as capable as the other. So really, we do want you to have U.S. sailing bareboat cruising certification in order to enter into our navigation and our passage making courses. That is a prerequisite. So the course you can test out of is the basic learn to sail course and get into our cruising courses. But for the passage making, like I said, we do need you to have some additional experience. I think that is the last of the chats and the last of the questions. Woohoo! So thank you all very much. Again, if you have any additional questions, B. Oliver at offshoresailing.com or Doris at offshoresailing.com, or call our number 800-221-4326. And we welcome you all aboard. Thanks so much for joining us today. And this will be recorded. So if you have friends or family members that want to watch it, it's going to be posted by the Moorings on their virtual boat show page. So thank you all and have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you both so much.
All right. Thanks.